It's now my pleasure to invite His Royal Highness Prince Hassan to come and address us. Prince Hassan is a towering figure. He is a man of great vision and knowledge. He's a leading figure in the world in the fields of communication, of human security and reconciliation.
Without developing requisite character to refrain from using our ever-expanding knowledge to our common detriment, how can we reconcile mad and mass, mutually assured destruction and mutually assured survival? Surely one can contain the other over a period of time. But here is the role of preventative diplomacy, and all of you have been emphasizing the importance of listening. So I would like to refer you to the last publication, which might be of useful to your library at least, of the High Commission for Refugees publication, Forced Migration, in which they have developed a listening project in terms of protracted migration. You know very well that in this region we have migrants, DPs, IDPs, stateless persons. My wife's late uncle, Justice Hidayatullah, Chief Justice of India, started a study on statelessness. It's in your archive somewhere, at least in its first 2 chapters. But forced migration talks about protracted displacement. The Cohesion Fund would attend to all people as people. Now, before my Palestinian friend accuses me yet again, I've done the most I can, I think, in attempting to serve the Palestinian community, but being a Hashemite prince is not politically as convenient as being Abu this or Abu that. So if you prefer calling me Abu Rashid, then maybe that would... But honestly speaking, if UNRWA collapses tomorrow, United Nations Relief Works Agency, Palestinian-centric, UNHCR, broad mandate, statelessness undefined, DPs, IDPs, all of these people are referred to as political economy in the definition of the World Bank. So when countries like Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, host countries to refugees, talk about their GDP and their GNP, it doesn't make much sense if it doesn't include per capita. How can you include per capita if you're told that this is political economy? And what's political economy? They're drinking the same water, breathing the same air. How can we talk about regional commons? This whole exercise, I assume, is that we are all heading within this exercise toward 2012. Let me remind you that in the General Assembly of the United Nations, some of you may be involved in answering a questionnaire: how do regional commons meet global commons? And this is why I suggested in the West Asian context that we start an ECOSOC, an economic full stop, social council full stop, which includes the Arabs, the Turks, the Iranians, the Israelis, in discussing supranational issues. Water and energy are supranational issues. I said to the president of Turkey the other day, in the book of Revelations, when the Euphrates dries, this is a sign of the end of days. And the Euphrates has dried. The Turks are taking the water to eastern Anatolia to serve their own constituents. That's politics. Everybody, by the way, looks at this part of the world and says, yes, but we have to consider domestic politics. President Obama has to consider the health plan. But at the same time, we're told, because we're so vicious and unpleasant, I mean, the other day I was sitting next to an American couple in a restaurant in London, and one of them turned to me and said, "You're Muslim and Arab, aren't you?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Are you going to blow us up?" I said, "No, it's my off day." I mean, forgive me, Bishop, Jesus wept. I mean, it is... When are we going to change by doing instead of talking. I mean, it was beautiful the other day in Geneva. I was deeply touched at the Center for Interfaith and Intercultural Dialogue. We taught by analogy, put yourself in the shoes of the other, Paul was saying earlier. And there we were, Jews, Christians, and Muslims, men and women, postdoctoral graduates, all of them, doing a sabbatical on the tradition of the other. And Professor Albert de Pury, a Swiss professor, stands up and speaks in beautiful Talmudic Hebrew and in beautiful Quranic Arabic. So we said, at last, we've done something practical. But everything that we do that is practical, the existence of Mecca, Middle East Citizens Assembly, with 125 activists, Israeli and Palestinian peace activists, I can't speak for anybody else, but I must say that if we didn't feel gutted at this time because of the lack of virtuous actions, politics without principle. I'd just like to comment on the fact that we have engendered political systems that gave us the so-called freedom to choose. Freedom to choose, while neglecting to tell us that our choices were between irresponsible options. This is why I stress again the importance of the empowerment of the poor in citizenship. Two Australians are looking at each other. Am I overrunning my time? Commerce without morality. I'm very fortunate in the sense that I've never done business, which makes me much more comfortable in certain neighborhoods of the Arab world and the developing world, with the Kachi-Abadi Authority, with the Alternative Development Group in India, with the Grameen family, going right back to 1996 to Comila, than I do with the new money. So commerce without morality. How many trillions of dollars of weapons have we bought? Look at the opium crossing the border into Jordan from Iraq, having come from Afghanistan. And lastly, worship without sacrifice. I was very privileged to help in getting the word HIMA, H-I-M-M-A, into the lexicon of the IUCN, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. And HIMA means the protection of the physical and the human environment. The Jami' Masjid, the universal mosque, should protect the environment in which it finds itself. The major mosques of this part of the world, the major places of worship, whether Christian, Jewish, or Muslim, should be activating, and so it goes on. I didn't want to mention to you, representing as you do 37 countries, the fact that the Human Rights Tribunal for Yugoslavia and the Human Rights Tribunal for Rwanda will end in the next couple of years. Who is then going to be responsible for developing the noble art of conversation? And as I said to my Israeli friends once on Popolitica, the Israeli hard talk equivalent program, I said the noble art of conversation, and my Israeli moderator said, in Israel, it's a martial art. But it's still an art, and thank goodness for the liberal arts. We're not talking rocket science here. We're talking about rediscovering our shared humanity. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.